Set in 2036, the U.S., as a peacekeeping force, stepped in to quell the war that erupted between Russia and Ukraine. In this military operation, the Pentagon also tested robotic artificial intelligence technology called GUMPS against the Krasny group led by Viktor Koval, who had taken control of the border area. In close combat, the rebels led by Viktor Koval, known as Invisible Ghosts, managed to destroy several GUMPS units that were still in the testing stage. On the other hand, a drone pilot named Lieutenant Harp was seen watching the battle from behind the control screen of his drone. The entire GUMPS unit was destroyed by rockets launched by the criminals. Not only that, 2 soldiers who broke through were shot in the leg so that both of them were trapped in the enemy-controlled area. Things got worse when Harp's monitor detected a potential attack from a steel truck speeding towards the battle point area. Unfortunately, the truck stopped just a few meters away from the 2 trapped troops. Lieutenant Harp suspected that this was a rocket launcher truck, so he requested permission to shoot at the truck, but Sergeant Miller strongly refused Lieutenant Harp's request because 2 of his soldiers were still trapped there. He then requested permission to go to the command center headquarters, but again his permission was denied to launch an airstrike. Lieutenant Harp, who saw a slight suspicious light from inside the truck, immediately took action and ignored the instructions from the command center. He launched a precision missile from his drone and destroyed the locked target. The truck was destroyed along with the lives of 2 trapped soldiers. Harp was later called out for disobeying orders. He explained that what he did was to save 38 soldiers out of a total of 40 deployed. As a result of his actions, he was reassigned from a behind-the-scenes drone pilot to a combat trooper directly on the ground. Harp was ordered to meet Captain Leo, who was in charge of a platoon base on the border of the conflict area. Upon arrival, Harp was greeted by a robot that could detect fear from the soldiers' faces. Harp asked Captain Leo's room to Colonel Eckhart, who was busy organizing his troops in the medical tent. Harp, who initially thought he was only assigned to guard the border post, received a special order to accompany Captain Leo in a special operation to capture Krasny leader Viktor Koval. The Americans were worried that Viktor Koval had access to nuclear controls left over from the Cold War that were scattered in the Ukraine region. This order frightened Harp because he had never gone directly to the field during his time as a drone pilot, let alone this was only done alone without the company of other troops. Harp was very surprised to find out that Captain Leo was a 4th-generation biotech robot. In order to capture Viktor Koval, they had to infiltrate one of the armed militias in the area. At first, they had a little difficulty negotiating because the GUMPS unit, which was still in the trial stage, opened fire on the militia without any orders to shoot. But after that, thanks to the artificial intelligence of the 4th-generation intelligence, Captain Leo managed to negotiate with a group of militia who were taking foodstuffs from a supply truck that had been rolled over. But suddenly they were attacked by a group of Krasny who secretly observed them from the top of the building. Captain Leo and Harp managed to leave the place to the militia headquarters to extract information on the whereabouts of Viktor Koval. Although a robot, Captain Leo was implanted with a sensory perception acuity program so that he could also feel pain. In that way, robots can feel empathy for humans. Arriving at the militia headquarters, they were suddenly shot by a man hiding on a container. It turned out that the man was one of Krasny's group, who infiltrated among the militia. Captain Leo interrogated him to tell the location of Viktor Koval, but the man preferred to keep his mouth shut and was beaten to death by the militia there. Harp was unable to hide his fear after feeling how terrible it was to go directly to the conflict area. There they met a female intelligence agent named Sophia. Sophia explained that Koval had managed to get the secret code for the nuclear activation left over from the Cold War. But the code was stored in a safe that could only be opened through special equipment. Sophia mentions that Oshlank, an arms dealer, is believed to have the device, and it is likely that he will betray the militia and sell the device to Viktor Koval. Sophia, Captain Leo, and also Harp rushed to find Oshlank before he sold his device to Viktor Koval. Harp could only stand by and watch how ferocious a 4th-generation robot could be in a close-range fight. After learning that Oshlank had sold the device, Sophia killed Oshlank. Harp can command this 4th-generation robot as long as it is within the protocols set by headquarters. Harp's job in this mission is not just to be a co-worker. More than that, he also functions as intel supervising the robot's performance to stay within the orders compiled by headquarters. Even Harp can disable Captain Leo's system through commands. This time Harp was confused again when the robot asked him to remove the tracking connection attached to his body so that their presence would not be detected by Russian troops. Harp, who lacked experience, almost shot the bank workers who were there because he was too panicked. He got orders from Captain Leo to inform Colonel Eckhart that they had found Victor Koval in the building. He felt a little relieved when the Gumps troops sent by Colonel Eckhart had arrived at the location. A few moments later, there were gunshots from the building accompanied by the appearance of Krasny's troops and the workers they had taken hostage. Again, at this crucial moment, the American Gumps unit made the mistake of opening fire on the enemy first. A firefight between American Gumps and Russian Gumps was inevitable. Harp, who felt that the Gumps unit made a mistake, immediately contacted Colonel Eckhart to report. But the answer Harp received was very surprising. He received information that the building where he was located had been locked by aerial drones to be blown up. From here, Harp began to realize that Captain Leo was created as collateral to ensure the location of the target, and after that, the target location would be blown up. A puff of black smoke soared in the air. From the rubble, Harp rose with wounds all over his body, mentally depressed for failing to save the hostages. He also regretted that the fourth-generation smart robot that had saved his life so many times was destroyed in the drone attack. Unexpectedly, it turned out that Captain Leo, the fourth-generation robot, was still intact without any damage at all. After Harp calmed down a little, he asked Captain Leo to report to headquarters, since the nuclear code had been found. But what happened was completely unexpected. Captain Leo refused to report to headquarters. Harp, who felt that the robot was out of control, immediately gave an emergency order to return to headquarters. The robot refused the order and deleted the command code from its system. It turned out that Harp had been deceived by Captain Leo about a device on his body that he called a tracking device. Apparently, it was the main control system so that the robot could receive orders from humans. This time it was too late. Captain Leo had turned into an artificial intelligence system that acted on its own accord. Harp, who tried to take his gun to destroy this robot, failed because the robot has a very sensitive sensory system. The robot then beat Harp unconscious. When he wakes up, he finds himself alone in a militia-controlled area. It turns out that the leader of the militia is the woman he suspected of intel some time ago, Sophia. Sophia tells Harp that the real terrorist is the United States. She calls America the mastermind behind war crimes under the pretext of world peace. Sophia explains to Harp that Captain Leo is disobeying orders because Captain Leo has the logic to determine who the real war criminals are. Harp tries to convince Sophia not to trust the artificial intelligence machine. According to Harp, the robot is only concerned with its own will to escape human control. Sophia releases Harp and lets him go home because Sophia believes that the American mainland, which she believes is the source of the world's problems, will disappear soon, hit by a nuclear warhead that will be activated by Captain Leo. On the other hand, Captain Leo met Koval to find out where the nuclear parameters were. And then a fight broke out and Captain Leo managed to kill Victor Koval. From this, it can be concluded that previously the robot had established a three-way relationship between America as its creator and the militia led by Sophia, and also the Krasny party led by Victor Koval. Harp returns to headquarters and tells what happened to Colonel Eckhart and Sergeant Miller. He explains how cleverly the robot tricked him into unplugging the control system embedded in his back. The military officials seemed confused about how to stop this intelligent robot that clearly carried nuclear codes of mass destruction in its hands. Moreover, Leo targeted the American mainland for destruction because the intelligence of its system considered that America was the source of the problem. At the end of the remaining time, Harp got the idea to track down the car used while with Leo. Harp contacted Corporal Bale, his co-worker when he served as a drone pilot. From aerial monitoring, Bale managed to track the car used by Captain Leo. Harp, who felt he had made mistakes as a drone pilot, wanted to clear his reputation by eliminating Leo by himself. He was confident he could do it. From the coordinates of Captain Leo's location, it was discovered that there was a nuclear launch silo used in the past Cold War. Harp then went to where Leo was, and Harp then fought with Captain Leo, although he had shot Leo, but it didn't work because Leo was a robot, and then Harp fainted. Harp, who had begun to wake up from his stupor, immediately took a steel-penetrating weapon and shot Leo until he suffered a lot of damage to his body, but the nuclear launcher was too late to stop. Harp, who realized that the place was about to be blown up, immediately ran and sought safe shelter. From the drone control room, Bale launched a precision missile that hit the target and thwarted the nuclear launch. Eckhart tried to contact Harp, and soon Harp managed to answer, indicating that he had survived. Harp finally survives his grueling series of missions, and the movie ends. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, because by subscribing, you have supported me to make better videos. See you in the next video.